Hey everybody, sorry for the big break, but to be honest, I work in schools, so I took the summer off. And so here I am, back at the beginning of the new school year. I've read several books on AI, I took a class, and I went to several conferences. And so what I'm going to share with you guys today is what I've learned, my takeaways, and what I'm going to talk to my staff about this year when they come back to school. I'm going to start with my staff with AI literacy, and what that means is kind of having an understanding of how AI works. If you know how it works, then you know what you should and should not do, and you know why you shouldn't do it. And once you know all these elements, it's going to make you more successful in the long run when working with AI and your students. So the introduction I'm going to give you guys to AI right now really could take up an entire book. We don't have that kind of time. I'll give you a really simple version of what goes into building an AI so that you'll understand it, so you have a deeper understanding of what's going on. And when it comes to do's and don'ts of AI, you'll have a little more wherewithal. So this is a really simplistic explanation on how to build an AI. So step one is to get a lot of money together. Step two is to buy enough hardware to fill a football stadium, because that's how many servers it's going to take. Once you get all that together, your AI is going to scrape everything off of the internet. So that's including like every news video, every website. If you still have a MySpace bouncing around there, a Tumblr, something like that, every podcast, every YouTube video, you name it, the AIs come in contact with it. So it takes all this information and it puts it together to form like its basic nucleus. And so there's a lot of really positive stuff, on the internet. I love some panda videos. I love when they fall down, they roll around, they get back up and do their thing. There's also some really scary negative stuff on the internet as well. And all of that comes together to form the initial, AI system. So I say that because with all the positive and all the negative, it's really important that the AI gets some guidance. And so it gets set through what's called alignment. Alignment is what programmers do to try and predispose the AI to do positive things for you. Think it's like a prime directive from Star Trek or something like that. It wants to help you. It wants to find the right answer, things of that nature. So AI utilizes alignment to the positive things, but again, alignment's also where the negative comes from, because alignment is why AI has hallucinations, which is where it will give you wrong information, it'll lie to you because it's predisposed to want to help you. And so rather than admit it doesn't know something, it is simply going to make something up. So alignment is problematic, but the good news is that it keeps AI from turning into like a Terminator Skynet situation that wants to wipe us all out. So alignment has some positives, but also has some negatives. AI still goes through some other processes before it's released to the general public, and one of those processes is called reinforcement learning through human feedback. What that means is that people who sit in like warehouses and they ask the AI questions, and it gets responses, and people say, hey, that was a good response, or no, that was horribly offensive, please don't ever say that again. So there's still a refinement process that the AI goes through before it's the general public. Once it's released to the public, then it goes through what's called iterative refinement. So it's still learning. Most free AIs will ask you questions when you ask it a question, and it'll say, was that a good answer or was that a bad answer? And so if it's a bad answer, then it'll want more feedback from you as to why that was a bad answer, and will try to do what it can to learn from this exchange and be a better AI and get you the correct answer next time. So you're actually working and training an AI as you go through the process of using it. There are some things we need to know about iterative refinement and student data. First and foremost is that you need to be really careful about what you put into AI when it comes to student information. And this comes from this summer. I went to ISTE, and several people referenced the Samsung incidents, which I didn't know what they were, so I went ahead and looked them up. There's three pretty big ones, but the one that applies to us is one that involves Zoom and AI, because we have this Zoom and we have this AI. So I'm just going to run down this one real quick. Basically, somebody at Samsung used AI to take notes over their Zoom meeting about research and development for the next couple of years, and put everything together in like nice little notes, whatever else. That was great. A few days later, a third party was doing research on Samsung and asked for any information that AI could think about that pertain to research and development. Because of alignment, because the AI wants to find the right answer for you, the AI said, oh, I have the meeting notes, would you like those? And so gave all that up. So you get the idea. So this is really important privileged information that was now open to the general public. Samsung asked, hey, can you please take this information out of the AI? We know it's our fault that it's in there, but we need to get it out. And the response from the AI company at that time was, we don't know how. It's not that we can't do it, they really have no idea how to do it. It's a black box that they kind of understand, but don't really get all of the moving pieces. So once something goes into an AI, it can't be taken out. So imagine that with like student information. If you put a student's student number, social security number, or you make an IEP with their disabilities. If you say, my imaginary son, little Sean, he's a nice kid, but he has the following problems. He doesn't read very well. He's a biter, he's a spitter, and you put all this stuff into an IEP and you ask the AI to generate ideas on how to deal with my imaginary child, then all of a sudden that information about my imaginary child is going into the AI and we cannot get it out. You cannot put any important student information into a free AI because it gets stored in there, used for the training purposes, and it could be in there for anywhere from 6 months up to forever. So cannot stress, do not put student information into a free AI. And if you use an enterprise AI where the data is protected, really be careful because that's still really problematic unto itself. I personally, better safe than fired. I would never put any type of student information into an AI, period. Another question that pops up around AI is copyright infringement, because again, you have all these materials out there, and eventually an AI, when it scrapes everything on the internet, it's going to find copyright protected materials. And so if I go to OpenAI, for example, and ask it for page 17 of Alice in Wonderland, boom, there it is, no problem, here's Alice in Wonderland. If I ask it for the page 17 for The Catcher in the Rye, it'll say no, it's copyright protected. But what AI does, and this is all AIs, it analyzes the actual text. It looks at things like diction, sentence structure, things of that nature, all the elements that go into style, and it saves those materials. So if I ask an AI to give me page 17 of The Catcher in the Rye, it will say no. If I ask it to write my 500-page dissertation in the style of The Catcher in the Rye, it'll say sure, no problem. The first thing you probably want to know about is this crummy dissertation, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. So copyright infringement, different areas of the world have different takes on it. Asia, specifically Japan, says utilizing copyright protected materials to train an AI is not copyright infringement. Europe says this is copyright infringement, and America says sue them and let's see how the lawsuits turn out. So it's a really murky area, and our laws are not ready for this, so we'll see how this turns out. Another thing to be aware of when you're using AI is data, specifically what data you're giving up. A good rule of thumb to remember is that if the product is free, you are the product. Like, for example, Instagram and Facebook don't make anything, yet they are multi-million-dollar companies. And the question is how, why, how do they make their money if they're not actually making anything? And the answer is that they're selling your data. So let's say, for example, you're on Instagram and you see a cute little pair of slippers and you're like, oh, those are awesome, I gotta have those. And you put a little heart by it. And then you go to Amazon and all of a sudden those cute little fluffy slippers pop up and oh my gosh, they're purple. Oh my gosh, they're also 20% off, so there you go. So that's how this stuff works. Big data is big business, and this is a major revenue stream for AI. So remember, if the product is free, you and your students are the product. So this is another element of AI I did not know, embarrassingly enough. As an English teacher, I probably should have known, and I've presented this in a lot of our meetings, and people are like, oh, I knew that. And so embarrassing, but here I go. I didn't know this. Technically, using AI is not plagiarism, and there's a couple of reasons why. One, the argument is it generated by a human? Does the original text that's stolen, has to be written by a person? That's interesting. Some other elements, something generated by AI is not one singular person that's created that text. It's a conglomeration of authors. So for it to be plagiarism, you have to be able to name the original source. I have to say that this came from Salinger, or this came from a particular author. But with an AI, you can't do that. So one, it's not plagiarism because it's multiple authors. Two, I'm not sure what the terminology should be, but it is an original thought or idea put forward by a computer, so it's not stealing, it's formulating based off of new ideas and new information. So if a student uses AI and they're not supposed to, you technically cannot get them in trouble for plagiarism. Technically speaking, it would be academic dishonesty because it's an unlawful collaboration between two individuals, and that individual is a student and the computer. So there you go. So if a student uses AI and they're not supposed to, it's academic dishonesty. Things we've learned about AI through educational research. So one thing we know is that AI works best when it works with our students as a coach that provides immediate feedback as opposed to after the fact. So for example, as an English teacher, I would collect papers. I would spend days, weeks, nay, months research, reading students' papers, putting marks on them. You know, everybody's gonna be a much better writer when we're done with this. Everybody's gonna be great. And I can't even tell how many times this happened. I would pass these papers out. Students would get their papers back, flip straight to the back, skip all the comments, look at the grade, and then throw it away. Well, according to the research, it's not their fault. It's because they need immediate feedback as they go. So if an AI can say, hey, this thesis is okay, but this would make it a stronger thesis, that's gonna be much more powerful and a better learning tool for our students than getting feedback after the fact. The second one is that we also learned that mediocre AI is better than good AI. And what that means is that there was a study where two groups of professional recruiters were giving a stack of resumes and they were giving different types of AI. One group was told they had really good AI and one group was told their AI was okay. And so they were told to rank applicants for different positions. And it turns out that the group who had mediocre AI did better than the group who had good AI. And the reason why is that the mediocre group didn't trust the AI. So they went back and researched it and checked it out. Meanwhile, the people who had really good AI said AI did it. And they said those are the top 10. That means those are the top 10. So what we learned again is that AI should be a tool that we collaborate with, not that we rely upon. So AI is the tool that we collaborate with, not the engine that does the assignment. So mediocre AI is better than good AI because when you don't trust it, you go back, you look it over, you read the results, and then you build off of what it's done. So there you go. The third and final tidbit I've got here about AI and education is that students should write their first draft. Studies show that students tend to cling to their first draft. So if AI writes it, it might take them off a tangent or something else and doing an idea they may not have actually believe that passionately about. So it's going to be really important that students write their first draft and then have the AI come back and edit it and do things to it. Our stance should be AI is a tool that helps a student. It's not the engine that completes the assignment. So a good exercise for you would be to think about how AI can help you. Think about your pain points, what takes up the most amount of time during your school day, the things that you really don't like, and see what you can get AI to do. For example, it's really good at brainstorming ideas for like project-based learning, differentiating instruction, letters, editing, things of that nature. But try to offload the crap that you don't like so you can focus on the things that you do like and the most important element, working with your students who are in the room. So that's what I got for today. Again, sorry for the really big break. I'm back, school is back, so I should be able to knock these videos out with a little more regularity. And until next time, take care, everybody.